In a foreign country, there's always going to be problems that arise as you don't know their custom and culture. So you should really take time to learn about it before going into doing business there. In the United States, we do a lot of business with Mexico because we do share a border with them and we have very close proximity with them. So it's very important to learn about their culture before trying to conduct your business there. Their corporate culture is very structured and hierarchical. You really want to know who you're dealing with and what their position is because it's very ladder like. So if you're dealing with somebody who's lower down on the ladder, you may be negotiating with them or discussing with them for no reason because they do have no say in what is going to go on in decision making or anything higher up. The authority level is also directly related to the amount of interest that they have, and you want to make sure that you match that. So if they send somebody who is lower down on their corporate level, then they're probably not very interested in what you have to say. But if they send somebody who's very high up, they are very interested, and you want to make sure that you match that. You don't send somebody from your company who is lower down so that you don't show them that you don't really care, and that's considered rude. You also don't want to publicly criticize because they have a lot of pride in their company. And within the company, management and their employees are very loyal to each other and they have a very personable relationship. So everybody knows each other really well. So it's also important to consider that. Meetings, they tend to be pretty informal. Everybody can participate. You show emotion a lot because it shows that you're invested. You may get excited, you may interrupt. Topics that are on the agenda are not what the meeting is limited to. It's just kind of a suggestion. You can really discuss about anything that comes up that's related or anything that needs to be discussed. Meetings may start late or they may run over, and that's fine. There's not a big rush or time constraint on meetings when you go in Mexico. Meals such as breakfast and lunch are really common for business meetings. Dinner is more social. Meals are usually a pretty long event. They're a couple hours long, and it's a really good time to get to know who you're dealing with. So you're not going to be just discussing business. You're going to be discussing everything, and you can just kind of follow your host's lead so that you know where to take it. Gifts are not really required, but they are really appreciated. You don't want to go over the top, so just pick something small if you're going to bring it. If you do receive a gift, you want to open it right then and there, and you want to be very excited, and you want to show your host that you're very appreciative of that gift that they got for you. First impressions are also really important in Mexico. You want to represent yourself really well through your clothing. You want to dress nicely. You don't have to go over the top with it. Mexico City does tend to be more formal than the rest of the country, so you want to take that into consideration. But for most of the country, just slacks and a nice shirt, or for women, a skirt and blouse, whatever. That's fine. You just want to make sure that you look professional. Your greetings are really going to vary based on who you're meeting, from shaking hands for men, a kiss on the cheek for women. If it's a man meeting a woman, you want to wait for the woman to take the lead so that you don't do something that she's uncomfortable with. You want to use their titles such as doctor or judge or contractor, whoever they are, with their family name or their last name. Once you get a better relationship with them, you can move on to their first name and have a little bit more of an informal relationship. Mexicans, with their nonverbal, they really value eye contact. They stand closer together, and stepping back and giving more space can be considered really rude. So you want to make sure that you're aware of that. And the touching, such as reaching out to touch your arm, a pat on the back, that's all very normal in Mexico. So there's no need to be alarmed if that happens. You just kind of roll with it and you can reciprocate. Business cards are generally exchanged. They're given to everybody. You want to do Spanish and English because you don't necessarily know if your host is going to speak English, even though it is very common. You don't want to assume that. You also want to add not only your professional but also your educational background on there so that they know a little bit about you from all angles of it. When it comes to negotiating, Mexicans really prefer to do it verbally and to actually orally speak to you. They are from a very bartering and negotiating culture, so that's really common, and you can expect negotiations to take a while because of this, and setting deadlines isn't necessarily like, we have to have this done right now. They kind of see it more as just a suggestion. Even though there is going to be a lot of negotiating, you want to avoid conflict and be respectful. You want to make sure that who you're sending to handle it is appropriate. You don't want to send a lawyer because that comes across as rude. You want to send a higher level executive who can deal with it all. And you want to get your final agreement in writing and signed because Mexicans can tend to exaggerate what they're saying. So you want to make sure that it's wrote down and both parties agree to it and can see it very clearly what they're agreeing to before everything is finalized. When it comes to their culture, they're very family oriented, go with the flow. They are dominantly Catholic in Mexico, but religion is kind of fading out, especially with younger generation. Their education is still lacking behind, although they are taking steps to improve that. They are having trouble implementing it, but they are attempting to kind of catch up with the international average. They're also have a lot of international trade, but the U.S. makes up majority of it. So we in America make up a lot of their revenue. So it's really important that they have a good relationship. Political and legal troubles are kind of common in Mexico. There's a lot of high crime and violent crime. The current president has a all-time low approval rating for modern history, and the military has a very high rate of impunity for crimes. So there's a lot of conflict there. There's a lot of claims of corruption and bribery going on, and there's a lot of fake, pirated, counterfeit products. So there's a lot of distrust there between all the legal problems and Mexico citizens, and that can lead to problems for employment because healthcare, roads, all of that, that's really lacking in Mexico. So that can be a problem that you want to consider when you're looking for potential people to meet with in Mexico and to work with. But overall, Mexico can be a very fun country. They're very personable. They really enjoy getting to know you. So it can be very, very fun to conduct your business there, and you can have a very positive experience if you just take your time and get to know who you're meeting with.